Dan McCarthy, welcome to our call.
Hi, Bill.
How you doing?
Good. Hey, I apologize for the gear, but this boy hasn't taken a shower yet, in case you couldn't tell.
I can smell you from here, man. Wow.
That's not even a joke. I've just been buried this morning with work.
Good for you. Good for you.
So,
Excellent.
you know, I'm trying to pick up my probate business.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to join your calls, and I noticed you looked like you had that logo from Chad and those guys.
I did. You know, I've actually done, I think, 5 different trainings. I have 4 different logos. That was the first one I did. I think it's the best. And so I just put it on there, and I've never really changed it. But Chad's fantastic. Have you done all the leads training?
I did, but I need to revisit it. I've got too many irons in the fire, Bill. Like you have to, in this world, you have to pick a direction and stay in it, right?
I'll go with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've done that. I mean, I've stuck with probate, to be honest. I stay really tight in that lane. And that doesn't mean I don't do other work, but I don't prospect outside of it.
It sounds like you're very successful.
I'm on pace for icon. I don't know, in my book, that's successful. I've never done that much before.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. I got into this whole business as a flipper. Like I've done flips while I worked for IBM for 30 years. And then one day I got too old. IBM said, "Oh, we don't need you guys anymore." And I just didn't want to go back to tech. So I said, "Oh, I'll do the flips full time." I got my license. So I'd go through MLS. But, you know, I'm in Boston, and, you know, it's the same there, right? The market's bananas. So
yeah,
instead of, trying to buy these flips for short money, no one will sell them to you. So,
right. So it's kind of harder for sure.
Yeah, I mean, some will, but it's getting access to the deals. And then I had some buys and sells of people I knew. So I said, well, let me pick up some buys and sells using my license. And so I'm kind of like more into the license than the flipping right now.
Let me just kick off the call because we're live now on
Okay.
Facebook Workplace. And so just real quick, this is Bill Gross. Welcome to our weekly EXP National Mastermind on Probate Real Estate. We talk about all things related to probate real estate. I do this every week, Monday mornings, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And then we stream it live into the Workplace. You can catch the episodes there afterwards. You can also catch it on my YouTube channel. And I do a series. This is part of a series I've done on the 11 ways to get a probate sale in real estate. There's 11, and I think the companies that train really teach, in my experience, at most too. They teach you can cold call petitioners, which is great. And they teach you can cold call attorneys, which is great. But there's 9 other ways. And I think most important, us agents are already doing a couple of other ones with some tweaks. We'll get results faster. And I think they work together synergistically to help us get more business. So welcome to the call today. We have Dan McCarthy coming from the Boston area. Dan, where in Boston are you? What area?
I'm just on the North Shore. I'm in Linfield, actually.
Got it. My wife is from Belmont.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, my first 3 dates were Lakers Celtics finals in 1986. So I'm from Los Angeles. So I get a whole argument with you about it, but as a consolation, I've taken her to a Patriots away game, I think almost every year. So until last year. So I've followed Tom Brady all the time. Been pretty lucky with that. So welcome to the call. And I see Jamie, you're on the call as well from the OC. Welcome to our call. And this is meant to be a mastermind and participate. I'm going to give over some content. Dan was saying when we started here that he came into this as a flipper and how deals are tighter now. And I think that's a universal experience that number one, I think one of the opportunities for all of us in real estate is to invest, whether you, personally, I'm a flipper and I'm more of a lipstick flipper. If I find a property that I clean out and clean and put back on the market and make profit, I'll do those. I do a couple of those a year. I don't really, not much of a fix and flipper. I don't really have the skills or the interest in that. I'm not a buy and hold right now. I'm a buy and hold investor in EXP stock, and that's done really well for me. So that's where I put my extra savings and planning to do more of that here with a nice investment that just came in. But that said, as real estate agents, it makes sense for us to be investors as well. And that helps us see more deals. I see investors. The challenge is one of the most popular investors I follow nationally had said that, like most investors, it took about 100 deals they'd look at to find the one to invest in. And he said the market's gotten so tight, he had to look at 150 to 200, which increased his work and increased his overhead. And I think that's the truth, that we have to look at more deals than ever before, whether you're talking about an agent to list a property or you're an investor. And how do you leverage your time? How do you leverage your skills over more properties? That's the challenge. And so I think the way to do that, one strategy, is to synergize what you're doing. Instead of doing 2 or 3 different things, can you do 2 or 3 that together work? And so in probate, you can call petitioners, you can call attorneys, you can also flip property. But if you do all 3 together in a way that they each help each other, I believe you become more productive. And that's kind of my thesis and how I work. Before I get started, I have a little bit of content I want to share today. But anybody have any questions about what we're doing or questions about probate in general, we can jump onto. Jamie, no. Dan, no. Not seeing any others in the workplace. Let me just, oops, I lost my spot there. Okay, so theoretically, if you type a comment in workplace, you're watching it there, I'll see it here as well. So that's new technology coming up, but for now, that's how we're doing it. Okay, so let's talk about, I shared on the screen kind of overview, number 10, COI referrals. And I think as real estate agents, we all are aware of the importance of building our database and of getting business people we already know, like, and trust. We're going to talk about that today. But just a quick overview in probate real estate, it's not a quick fix. Oftentimes I get people call me and say, oh, wow, the riches and niches, so I'm going to become a probate person. I took a class and I'm ready to go. And I would say it's not a quick fix. You got to work hard. Anything in real estate. I think that in real estate, it's a great career for people who enjoy their work. I love what I do. I interviewed an attorney on Thursday. It's on YouTube. Jeff Condon, one of the leading attorneys in Los Angeles for trusts, complicated trusts and such, high-end stuff. Fun guy. But he said, Bill, it's obvious you enjoy what you do. I think that's what real estate always used to be. I think the last 10, 15 years, we deviated from that with these stories of people making millions and being on television. That's not normal. That's not but 1% of 1% of 1%. Most of us enjoy the work. We enjoy talking to people. We enjoy solving problems, and that's how we get paid. You have to be consistent. You have to follow up, and you have to learn and improve. And so, my background real quick, I've been in real estate since 1986. I was also married then to a girl from Boston in 1986. Still married to her, one day at a time. I've been in mortgage and real estate. I've been sales management, executive and owner. I've been probate focused the last 2.5 years. And certifications, I've taken everyone I'm aware of. I say taking them all, that's probably not accurate. I take all the ones I'm aware of. I like alltheleads.com as my favorite in terms of the most in-depth and I think also broadest. But in California, we have a approved certification, which is nice. But I think the more you learn, the better you become. I think your first certification is really your starting point, not a stamp of approval, in my experience. I did a lot of in-depth research. I watched YouTubes. I read books. I bought books on probate. And I've been to courthouse. The coach in the training challenged us to go to court to watch it live. And so I went one day and liked it. I went back again, and I ended up going for the whole week. And then I went for the whole month. And then I went every day for about 1.5 years. And in that time, and since then, I go to court when I'm able to, when the court allows me. And that's a whole discussion. But what I would say is that I've seen more court confirmation sales in LA County over the last 2.5 or 3 years than any agent, than any attorney, and I believe more than any judge, because I used to see maybe 2 a day. And I think I saw more just in the last year than, or before COVID, than any other agent. So, okay, so let's get into it. And again, you have to apply the fundamentals, mindset before money. 90% of any real estate problem in getting more business is about your mindset. Make sure you have that correct. And I would refer you to the Zig Ziglar water pump story. If you want to get your mind right about real estate and what it looks like, I think that's the best. If you go into YouTube and Zoom and Google or search Zig Ziglar water pump story. There's only 2 things to generate business. It's time and or money. So either you're going to invest money. If you don't have that to invest, then you're going to have to invest your time. And I know I invested time by going to court every day. I spent 3 hours a day prospecting, meeting people at court. But you might find some other way, cold calling, driving properties, or however you want to do it. Real estate is a contact business, but it's also a numbers game. So you got to talk to a lot of people. Part of why I do these videos is it helps me leverage my time for referrals with other agents, attraction, as you can imagine, and petitioners and attorneys. And your come from, and this is why I like the all the leads training, alltheleads.com, because I think the come from is about being a service. And that rather than, I know there's other services where it makes it sound like, oh, we're going to sneak in and get the property from the unsuspecting state and buy it on the cheap, and we're going to flip it, make a lot of money on it. I don't think that's the right approach. I think the right approach is to come from service. There are people who want cash deals and are glad to get it and move quickly. And I think that's appropriate. But if we're going to be an agent, you have to approach it, I think, from a fiduciary's point of view. And then be the solution to all things real estate. You know, when people have problems, we get paid to solve people's problems. The money we get paid is the measure of the value we create for other people. And so rather than looking to avoid problems, title's the problem and probate is our solution. And again, I'm just going to overview these fundamentals real quick. So what's a probate look like? I'm sorry, I need to put my do not disturb on. What's it look like? So one example is grandma or grandpa left me the property and I'm not entitled. I can't refinance. What do I do? My siblings and I are fighting over the property. My property is supposed to be in a trust, but it's not. And we started a probate, but it got stuck. These are common problems that people may reach you out to. And I get real estate agents who say one of these things to me, well, I can't do anything because grandma and grandpa are entitled, not the person. No, that's a probate. And what we do is we help them through the probate, maybe lend them the money to pay for the attorney expenses. Siblings are fighting, well, you need a probate litigation attorney as opposed to a regular probate attorney. As opposed to an attorney who does DUI and corporations, you need a specialist that does probate litigation. Property is supposed to be in a trust, but it wasn't. Well, in California, we have what we call a Hegstead petition. We can deed the property after the fact and say it was supposed to be in the trust. Please, court, move it in the trust for us, and they'll do that rather than a full probate. Or we started a probate and got stuck, and the solution there is to help them start the process or finish the process. I had one where I saw they went to the court to sell the property, but they didn't really know what they're doing. They didn't get the court approval. And I looked at the case file. I said to the customer, you know, you can get full approval and avoid court if you do A and B. And they did A and B and sold the property right away. And so and I was right there. So that's what we do is we find problems and we use the probate and our knowledge to solve those problems. Okay. Any questions about what probate deals look like? Just generically? No? Okay. And you can learn all those or call me, and I do handle referrals. I got referrals in New York and in 3 or 4 counties in California. So glad to help if I can help you. If I can just give you the answer, I'm glad to give you the answer. 90% of the time people call me with a problem, I help them solve it and not have to get involved any more than that. So I'm glad to help you if I can. But I do love the questions coming here in this call because I'm recording them. Okay, so I teach 11 ways to get a sale in probate, and number 10 is COI referrals. So when people say to me, I want to become a probate expert, great. You know the ins and outs of probate. Now you better know how to sell a house if you be a probate real estate expert. If you can't sell a house, you can't sell probate. It's more complicated. And it works the other way, that if you're a probate expert, your consumers will assume you know how to sell regular property. So I followed, my sponsor at EXP was Don Hobbs, who's one of the longtime most successful coaches of realtors in the country. He's also president of Success Magazine that was bought by EXP Realty. And he does a video you can search on YouTube called The Brand Called You. He discusses the importance of having a brand. And I made my brand about me being the probate expert, the LAProbate expert. And because of that, I get a lot of people who call me about other real estate because they see my expertise and assume like a brain surgeon can help you with a cold, right? Who do you ask about COVID? You don't necessarily know a virologist, but if you happen to have a cousin or friend and you're at a party and they're a brain surgeon, you're gonna be very interested in their opinion on, say, COVID vaccines or whatever, because you presume an expert has expertise in the basics, if that makes sense. So what's that look like? So I would say every client you ever have should know, if you want to learn probate, you take the time to get certified, you become a student of it and commit to it, they should all know that you have expertise in probate. Now, in another of the 11, I teach how to go deep with clients, specifically on how to avoid probate using living trusts, right? That's one option, one whole program I talked about for an hour. But in general, we're going to talk today about at a higher level, talking to your clients and letting them know. So do you email them weekly? I send an email out to all my database every week. Every client I ever did a deal for, every client that didn't choose me, everybody ever met at an open house, everybody who I met at a meetup or a seminar, name, address, phone number, they're in my COI database. If I like them, if I didn't like them, I took them out. And they get emails. And some of the emails they get are about my probate expertise and about probate business. So same with social media. You should be posting occasionally. Now, if you're not going to be exclusively, like I am, exclusively in probate, that's all I lead gen, right? So I'm not going to lead gen about expired listings. I'm not going to lead gen about FSBOs. I only lead gen about expireds. But you might want to mix it up if you're maybe more geographically based, which I'm not. I'm not trying to limit myself to a neighborhood in LA, like many agents do and should. I'm taking a broader regional approach. But all my lead gen is in related probate, but you might consider adding in social media once every 30 days, once every 90 days, adding into your mix about probate real estate. And then you'll find somebody will say, it's funny you do that because my cousin inherited a property. My cousin's grandma has a property under title, but she passed. My cousin's, passing away and doesn't know what to do. That's where you want to reach out to those people. Second, vendors, title, escrow, for sure, mortgage people. Title and escrow, different states use different names, or maybe title attorneys or real estate attorneys, you might call them. If you have the training in probate, one avenue is pick their brain on how to be effective and what mistakes do you see and what are the best practices. Make sure they know that it's important to you to be that kind of agent that they're going to want to work with. Lenders are different. Lenders talk to a lot of people, but they hear about deals that fall apart. And if it falls apart because the title wasn't done right, that becomes an opportunity for you to step in, fix the title, and sell the property. Other realtors. So one of the main sources of all of our business always should be how do we get business from other real estate agents and what are we doing to involve them? And so I think it's important that if you're going to take a class in probate real estate, make sure your colleagues know, especially newer agents. And if you're more experienced and you're mentoring and teaching, this is the area that naturally you can work on and develop expertise in. Investors, wholesalers. I work a lot with investors and wholesalers. I host my own Zoom meetup. I used to have a live meetup just for investors and wholesalers because they're out lead generating and finding properties. And some of those properties have title components that require probate. And so I would urge anybody in your general area to create your own. It's a lot of work, but I'll tell you what, I couldn't go to court when the court closed down March 17th, 2020. And I started moving my business online, and I host today, every Tuesday, I get 30 to 40 investor wholesalers. I send to YouTube and I get about another 50, 60 views there. And then I host a call on Thursday about probate real estate. I get a lot of wholesalers on that, investors, and I get about 50 people there. And about last week I got 70 YouTube views. So I'm getting about 100 visitors and 100 YouTube views a week. A lot of it is investor wholesaler. That's really my focus. And why that? Well, they come up with deals. I know their language. I'm an investor to some degree. I'm always looking for deals. I know I'm not going to find a deal every 5. I'm going to find a deal every 100 or 150 or 200. So if I'm talking to investors and they're going through a bunch of deals, I'll get a chance to find 1 or 2. So that's part of that strategy. And it also is a great source as a real estate agent. Sometimes they need to bring it back to market. I will say discount my commission. If you're an investor and I help you buy a property and I get paid on the in, I might do on the back end for 1% instead of 2.5%. But I already did the property. It's a lot less work for me. I'm a businessman first. I'm not a real estate agent. I'm a business person. And so that's something you can decide how to handle on your own. But for me, that's something I've done, but it also helps me create relationships with these investors and wholesalers. Estate sales is another one. It's a vendor that you might use once if you approach it that way, but I approached it as trying to develop relations with the estate sale company. I will say I've gotten 1 lead that was worthwhile, didn't close anything off of it, but I think that one could make a living contacting the estate sales in their area. And so I'm just offering this as a way, all these are ways that you can make a whole business out of. I'm just offering you some kind of a broad outline. Paralegals is another one. Again, sometimes customers don't need attorneys. They can use a paralegal or a document service. There's different names for them in different states that will help customers save money on the legal fees. But the advantage that I bring is I'm a salesperson, and I'm also going to meet them in person, whereas the paralegals are uncomfortable meeting in person. Part of the value proposition I bring to attorneys and bring to paralegals is I'm part of your team. So when they need to go to court, I'll go to court. I use that as my excuse to be in court and to look busy. And let me just back up and just say, anytime anybody has to go to court for probate, I love to go. During COVID, we don't have to go anymore because it's all on video. And most people take the lazy way out and don't go. I'm the opposite. I'm going to go. I get in front of the judge. I have judges who recognize me now and give me benefits as a result. I have attorney. Well, I would say benefits. They've come to realize I'm serious and professional and appreciate that. And as a result, I get better results than my competition. Sometimes there's only 1 or 2 attorneys in the room, but guess what? I'm the only person there besides them. They're glad to talk. I get there early. If there's nobody else waiting but me, we get a chance to chat. So I know real estate agents who spend hours cold calling and setting appointments and lunches and all that. I just go in the hallway and have a cup of coffee and meet with somebody and have a deeper relationship with them. So paralegals are an example where the customer maybe has to go to court, make an appearance, and the attorney can't do it for them. And I'll say, well, I'll go with the customer. I can't appear in front of the judge on behalf of the client, but I can be there and walk them through what's going to happen, make them feel comfortable, and stand in the audience as their real estate agent to make the judge feel a little more comfortable. And so that's a service I offer to paralegals, and I've had good result with that and gotten leads from that. Other probate vendors, now in California, we have the bond guy, the bond company. They go to court typically. Those are sources of people that you could be talking to for business. Other probate vendors would be document delivery service companies in LA court, because they're spread out. These are services that will deliver documents. And so I've met those guys. They give me a little insight as to what's happening in the marketplace. So those are the 7 sources to think about how to get referrals other than calling the petitioners. Those are clients. Every one of your clients, you should be doing some sort of a social media or email or discussion. Again, I do a whole class on, I believe, I can't speak for Massachusetts, Dan, but certainly Jamie in California, anybody owns a house, almost anybody owns a house should have a living trust to avoid probate. I think that's true in Massachusetts also. But you can get a living trust for $500 and avoid spending $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in legal fees and the heartache that goes along with it. Literally, I have an aunt passing away as we speak. She's in hospice. Literally, I met with my sister, who's the executor of the trust. I happen to be one of the 2 heirs of the trust. And she asked, it's so funny, she asked me, like, do I need, I think I need an attorney. I said, no, you really don't. The beauty of the trust is, unless you think you need an attorney, you don't need one. It's all kind of pre-done. And as a realtor, I'll help get the documents done to transfer title of the property. There's some bank accounts and stocks and stuff. The stocks have beneficiaries identified. You just need a death cert. And the bank accounts, yes, you need documentation, but that's pretty simple to do. I can help her with that. So it's just interesting how real this is for me. But clients need to know that you have this expertise. I was at a lunch on Saturday with a young man. I knew his parents very well. He's now become an active insurance agent in Los Angeles area. And I'm sorry, wrong person. Another young man I met who is full-time wrapping up his parents' trust. His parents passed, had a lot of assets, some in California, some Nevada, some Florida. And he was asked the question. I said, well, this is actually my area of expertise. I deal with this all day long. Because he was asked, do I know a probate attorney? I mean, do I know a trust attorney? Well, I know a lot, but maybe you'll need one. Let's talk about what you need and where you need an attorney. You don't need a California attorney if the trust is being administered in Nevada. If the property is in Florida, you might need a Florida attorney. You might not. Let's talk about, somebody can give you the right answers for that. So again, clients, very important. Let them know that this is, and I'm guilty of this. Most of my clients don't know that I'm involved with probate. Even though I'm branded it and my emails go out that way all the time, people's brains don't just follow all that. So talk to them about probate, talk to your vendors about probate. Other realtors, if you do the classes, make sure they know you've taken the class and you're able to help them. Investor, I had one call me today from Arizona, a guy I've known for a long time. He saw I'm a probate real estate agent and has a probate referral for me. It worked out great. Investors, wholesalers, I go to meetups, I go to real estate investment meetings, and I tell them I am the LA probate expert. And that's why I specialize in now. Do I also list other property? Yes. But I'm very focused on that branding when I talk to investors and wholesalers, estate sale vendors. You don't want to just use, and I would say this, any vendor you use is an opportunity for either marketing or referrals. An example, we have 1-800-GOT-JUNK to trash out a house. I, of course, asked them for referrals and they didn't really give me any, but I went through the day of the trash out. I took a video of what they do and how easy I made it work for them. I went into their social media and wrote a nice review with some video as well to promote myself, get some more views for my social media. So you want to use everybody as a vendor. You want to leverage their population for marketing for you as well as for referrals. Paralegals or document prepare people, however you call them in your market area, and last, probate vendors. So, okay, I did a lot of talking today so far, but we covered, I think, 7 different angles over how to get probate real estate. Anybody have any questions or comments on what we talked about?
So Bill, I know that you're pretty knowledgeable about probate. How long have you been doing it? Like, if I'm relatively new, right? So there's not that much I can add at this point. So I don't want to start to meet up with these guys at the courthouse or in person or with some of these real estate deals I'm doing and be like, oh yeah, I'm a probate guy and not really know what I'm talking about and not really offer anything of value, right?
Right.
So how do you, what would your approach for a newer person, like myself be? What would you suggest I do?
So there's a concept in learning that, the best way to learn something is to teach it. So I started, I took one course, same one you took, Dan. It was good. And I listened in on their weekly mastermind and their monthly role play. And I committed to going to court every day. So when I went to court, I learned quickly kind of the routine, where the courtroom was, where the research room was, where the computers were, what time of day to be there for certain things, where they post the schedule, where that paper is. Online, I had a list of the rooms, the different departments. And so quickly I learned kind of where everything was. And so I started hosting a meetup in the courtroom, not in the courtroom, just outside the courtroom. Now, again, COVID, I'm not sure where you are today in your court, and I'm not able to do that today. But I'm just saying what I did when I started was I hosted a meetup and I offered it every day, every work day, because I was going there every day. Any day that I wasn't going to go, I just deleted that day from the schedule. And I offered it to investors and wholesalers to meet me at court for an introduction to the courthouse, because I knew where the rooms were, the research room was, where the computers were. I knew the basic schedule and I could share that, right? And, people were very appreciative. And I started getting like one a week. I was scheduled for 5 days. I got 1 a week and then 2 a week and then 3 a week. And then I had to start limiting my days because on days that I had to go to court, I didn't want to be doing this. And more people wanted to come. And I would get sometimes 3 people. And I would forget to limit the number of attendees. And one day 6 people showed up and I just, limited it to 2 or 3. But just focusing on the thing I knew, which is where things were, and offering that of value, there were people who were glad to do it, including other real estate agents, including investors and wholesalers, which is my targets. So, I don't want to go there and be stupid. And I didn't talk about what I didn't know, but I did know there were 6 at the time divisions for probate in LA County. I'm sorry, there were 9. There were 3 on the 2nd floor. There were 6 on the 6th floor. The research room was on the 4th floor. There's a cafeteria with a beautiful view of the city. I would invite people up afterwards for a cup of coffee. And it was great. So I would just say, find out what you do learn, what you do know, and teach that. Over time, you'll learn more. And I really believe that this is a open area in most counties. My ambition is to build out a team and attract people in each county, 1 person per county to be the leader. But I think going to court and being, you can, in real estate, I'm sure in your area, there are people who dominate certain neighborhoods, right? This area, they make sure they have all the signs and they mail those people and they open house in the area and they dominate this geography. I never met anybody whose goal was to dominate the courthouse. I've met people who want to dominate probate sales in their county, and they would either attack the petitioners and or they'd market to the attorneys. But I never find anybody who's going to court to dominate the courthouse. That was my ambition. And I started there really knowing very little, but by going there every day, I learned a lot. And being there, paying attention, I learned a lot. And sat down the hearings and watched it. And then I did two things. I would hear the judge and learn what happened. And second, I would hear cases resolved one way or the other that I now had information in that minute nobody had. And I would, right from my seat, email the attorney. Hey, I see that your case was continued. Love to help you if I can. I saw your case was approved. Now you're able to sell the property. Love to help you market the property. Even if they didn't take me up on the lead, they saw that I was there. Like I said, I literally interviewed an attorney on Thursday. He just went on and on about how he saw me there. He knew I was legitimate. And as a result, he actually hasn't referred me to business, but he didn't fight customers who wanted to use me, which is half the battle. Does that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think if you do get in there with something that you do know well, then you're not nervous, you can explain it well. And then as you're there, you start to pull in these other pieces and learn, as you go on.
I also think that if we're vulnerable to people, they open up to us. What a nice, I'm sure, given your history, you have attorneys in your database that do some probate, right? What a nice phone call. Hey, Joe, you know what? I'm a real estate agent. I'm coming across more probate leads. I know that you do some probate. I'd love to maybe go to lunch with you and learn about how you run your business. I'm not looking for referrals from you. I haven't earned that right yet. I'm not going to pick you apart, but I'd like to just have lunch with you and chat a little bit and you kind of see how you build your business and see what I can do to help you. Right. And so I would say you could also ask the attorneys in your database for some help.
Yeah. I'm actually working on a probate now, and I met a closing attorney and a probate attorney. They happen to be cousins, so I'm kind of in with both of them, and they're both really knowledgeable and willing to share information. So it's been great. It's been a good learning experience for me.
I think the key with attorneys, my father was an attorney, and until I want to say around 1985 or 88 in California, you weren't allowed to market as an attorney. You weren't allowed to run any ads. And the thinking was attorneys should be good. People should come to them, not them marketing themselves. So their culture is very much about not asking for business, and they really look down on people who ask them for business. So I would say never ask them for business, but I would, if you're working on a deal with them, I'd take them out to lunch either together or individually. Attorneys also, their culture is they go out to lunch with people. That's how they develop business. And tell them, I'm not here to ask you for referrals. I'm here to ask you for business. I just like to meet you. I appreciate working with you and like to know more about how you work and how we can just get along better. And I think that my experience is 95% attorneys will go with that if they don't think you're going to shake them down for business. And if you have a couple, and I know you guys, you call them attorneys, we call it escrow, same kind of concept, but those real estate attorneys are great referral sources for you. I would definitely make a living out of inviting them all out to business and asking them. And I might go back to my old closings and ask those real estate closing attorneys, hey, I'm curious, do you do probates? I'm starting to get more and more of this business. I'm looking for a probate closing attorney that has experience. I think you do. Great. Well, I'd love to maybe reacquaint with you. Can we have a cup of coffee or lunch or whatever is appropriate for you to do? But I definitely think those are opportunities for you.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Sure.
I was just doing a recent probate, and I was talking with the clean out guys, the 1-800-JUNK guys. Do you know that those guys, I don't even know that they're in the clean out business. Those guys get more leads than anybody I know on properties. Yeah. And I talked to them a little bit about deals. They do some wholesaling. They do some buying themselves. Some of the deals are astonishing. It's crazy. They get tons and tons of referrals because they're one of the first people called.
Yeah, I would say those people, and the other one I would say is the solar guys. Those are two people who talk to so many people, have so many leads. I've not cracked the code with either one of them. I put myself out there. I give them a first. I assume they're owned by somebody in real estate. I just assume the local franchises, somebody's figured that out, because I've tried to crack that code and have not been successful, but I would
What
love
do you
to.
mean? Did you say solar guys?
Yeah, solar guys.
Solar energy?
They sell, solar panels that go on your house.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
have that in Massachusetts?
Yeah,
In California,
yeah.
they're a big deal, right? So they go door to door, and there's Solar City, now they're Tesla, and they go door to door. They mail, they call, but they also go door to door and talk to homeowners about putting solar panels on their house for $40,000-$50,000 and finance and all that. But they're door knocking, talking to homeowners all the time, and there's so many leads of people they talk to. Now they're quickly looking for a quick sale, and they don't follow up with anybody. That's part of their downfall. I try to say to them, look, just keep every name, address, and phone number that you, and an email that you ever get. At some point, you're gonna get burned out of this business, and you can go into real estate and you have a database of thousands of people you've met. That's invaluable. That's another one. But the 1-800 junk, you're right. It's so common. Now they do most often come in at the end. It's already been sold or already been listed. But you are so right that many times they're fixing the house up to get it on the market. I was at a house yesterday where they've already called in the junk people, and they haven't listed the house yet. So
Yeah.
no, you're 100% right. I wish I could get in with them. I've tried. I've just not been successful.
Yeah. These guys are, I'm part of a local RIA group and one of these Fortune Builder Group guys. Like, these guys are all around. But in talking with these guys, I said, well, what do you find deals from time to time? And I said, well, what do you do? Well, sometimes we buy them, sometimes we wholesale them. I said, well, what kind of money does it cost out? Are you guys looking for wholesale? They said, well, it depends on the deal. I said, have you had any great deals? He says, well, we bought a property in Salem, New Hampshire. We bought it because we were just so unsure that they would sell it for that price. We bought it and resold it, and they made 100 on it.
Right.
And just a, buy and sell, just a property that the clients just wanted to get rid of it, I guess.
Right. Well, and I think that's the thing. They talk to anybody who talks to a lot of people is going to talk to some people who need to sell property, but in particular, I think the junk out people are one that should be, again, my 10 are up when I talk to them. I do my best. The last one I went to, I went there, I met the crew, I bought them pizza, I took a video of them doing their job. I went on their Yelp review, wrote a 5-star review, attached the video and pictures of their job. I would have thought they'd call me back, say, hey, thanks for supporting us and promoting us and all that. It's great, and using us. And, I got the normal customer thank you, but I said to myself, it must be an investor behind that company, must own it, who's never going to refer me anything, because otherwise, normally vendors will just follow themselves when they get that kind of support. So I've often thought that's an interesting business to buy and try to figure out how to put them together.
Yeah, the 3 or 4 companies I spoke to in the last month, those guys are also all investors, all of them.
Yeah,
they own the junk companies and they're investors.
Yeah, I think it has to be connected. So maybe at some point, if I have some extra cash, I actually have something coming in that I need to figure out what to do with. And I'm not one to hold real estate. I just don't like it. I know there's tax advantages, and I'd much rather flip something and I have money for that. But maybe a got junk franchise or something would be a good investment for me to get some leads with. So we'll see. Okay, that's good. Hey, Tracy, is it Hires in Mentone, California? Welcome to our weekly call. My experience in Mentone is I went to college in Redlands, and somehow Redlands and Mentone had some sort of a rivalry. So anybody else have any questions or comments? Dan, any other questions, comments I can help with today?
No, I'm good. I appreciate it. A lot of information. I appreciate your help.
Well, thanks. So, I am on this call. We do it every Monday morning at 10 a.m. I also do Probate Weekly, which is Thursday, 4 o'clock Pacific time, and at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And love to have anybody who wants to come on there. I do use that for lead generation. I have a YouTube channel where I put videos on regularly, and would appreciate your support. If you happen to see this or other videos on YouTube, please like them or subscribe, or feel free to share them. And I also would say this, Dan, something else to think about, to go back to your point of being an expert. 2 things you can do. I think if you use your real estate agent superpowers, one, you can support an attorney or somebody who can refer you business, and whatever that means in your business. Like for me, I've been interviewing attorneys and accountants and putting their the interviews on social media. And a lot of them know they should do it, but don't know where to start. And I said, well, let me do some of the heavy lifting for you. I'll create a video for you for free. And, I'll get some people to watch it. And it's up to you at that point to use it. It's not magical on its own, but something as a real estate agent that I think we're more comfortable with, you might consider calling them, doing some sort of interview, recording it, and making that available to them. And then
So you would do like an interview video where you sit down with them and ask them questions about their business or, that kind of thing. Yeah.
But the interview videos I prefer to do via Zoom if the purpose of recording it. It's just the two of us. I think the Zoom format works better than two people in the same room. Just the audio is easier. I think the visual is better. You can share documents and such. But I've interviewed probably 15 attorneys, 4 or 5 CPAs, a couple loan officers.
They're good with it. They're, friendly about doing it.
Some people are kind of passive aggressive, will say they'll do it, but just won't sign up or won't follow through on it. I'm at a point now where, to be honest, I invite people, I send them a link. If they want to do it, great. If they don't, I'm fine, because I really want to work with people who want to work with me.
Right.
If you don't make the effort to work with me, I'm busy enough where I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I'm not going to do lead follow-up on that attorney. But I get enough who want to. Now, if they're a high profile attorney that will work on my weekly Zoom as a guest, that's a different story entirely. So I would definitely say to you that for you one way to position yourself as an expert is to interview people with expertise, interview the closing attorney, interview the probate attorney as a video, interview me. I'm doing a thing for a couple different EXP groups where it creates some expertise, in their name, it kind of comes over, and you can throw in that you're doing some cases and ask questions about it, and that you're ahead of most realtors, but even doing that. So I'm available to help any way I can, but also just say, use your real estate agent superpowers and focus on probate, and you'll get some business out of it, I'm sure.
Are you getting leads from YouTube?
It's hard to say specifically because I don't get anybody. I'm not using YouTube as a trap page where people click on it and go somewhere. I will at some point. That's my goal. Right now, my goal is just to build a tribe as big as I can. But I can say that it's shocking to me how many people are seeing my YouTube and my videos. It's just every day somebody else says to me, I see your videos all the time. And so in that sense, yes, I think the way I would put it is, and most of my social media up until about a month or two ago was really focused on my tribe and my geographic area where I was known already. I just started kind of expanding out a bit. But it's a way to kind of, I don't have to tell them I'm an expert in probate. If they see my video, they get it. So it eliminates a lot of the discussion of talking to people. And so when I go to a listing appointment, I really do my best to make sure they've seen a couple things I've done, just so they get at least go to the channel and click on something. You go to the channel and go, wow, the probate expert, that's interesting. And they click on 1 or 2 videos. I don't have to talk about probate anymore with them. They're not going to ask me how many they did.
Yeah, that's all it takes, is they see a couple of your videos, they see they have a few videos there, and they watch a little bit of each one. They're like, oh, this is the guy.
Right. And I think that if you want to get in the space, I don't think you have to go all in on probate, but I think you can create an additional channel on probate and do 2 or 3 interviews. That's more than most people do. What's shocking to me is the top realtors in probate in LA have so few views, so little social media, that to me, that space is wide open. And I just jumped in and elbowed my way into it. And then EXP also, I've been with the company 2.5 years, so we've grown quite a bit. And I would say that I've been able to leverage that into creating a group of 700 plus EXPers and being able to speak there. And then I get invited to different state groups and things like that. So, we have great opportunity. And then like you, I'm part of EXP, we're a national company. And so when people call me with referrals in other states, I really jump into that as not just a referral lead, but here's a way to build my probate marketing business. And so I got a lead in New York, and I really jumped all over it because I was going to New York anyhow for some family stuff, and made both of them work together. So again, it's something where I always look for the synergies of 2 or 3 things working together. I think we're going to end up going to Boston, the next 6 months or a year, my wife and I. So knowing you, I'll probably call you back and say, hey, let's get together. Let's do a video, or let's do a meeting, or something where now it's tax deductible. Right?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, Belmont and Arlington, those are two of the places that have never like over any of these real estate crashes and pandemics, Arlington and Belmont, the prices never go down there. Those places are like gold.
Wow. Wow. Well, yeah, my wife's neighborhood's done really well. I have to say, we still track the house she's in, and some famous people moved into her neighborhood. She's all excited about it. And so,
Yeah. It's a beautiful place.
yeah,
You know, everyone's being pushed out of the city. Cambridge is just, it's crowded and it's not affordable. Belmont, Somerville, Medford, Melrose, all these places they're all kind of being pushed out. There's just no one can afford it.
right,
You know, closest city. So
right. Well, okay, so that's all I have. Unless anyone else has a question, thank you, Tracy. It's fun to shout you out and say hi. Welcome to XP. Welcome to a probate call. If Tracy or Jamie don't have any questions, I don't see anything in the chat box. I think we're done for today. Again, we do this every Monday at 10 a.m. in the XP workplace. Feel free to join us there. I do probate weekly, 4 o'clock Thursdays. Feel free to join us there. Please like the videos, share the videos, subscribe. Love to have you, and appreciate your help. Dan, great meeting you today. Thanks so much.
thank you. Yeah, thanks, Bill. I appreciate all your help.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Take care. We'll see you.